on the other one. The unison pastels, an oval mop, a small round, some water, and I've already drawn our drawing out as you've seen, and the idea now is to use pastel and water to work on this rather lovely scene of the engineer and his engine on the Bolton Abbey Railway. We've already done an acrylic of it, which is rather fun. Now I just thought I was going to do this as a watercolour, but I decided in fact that it would suit better the various grades and soft colours and the use of water with pastel, so I could do the highlights. A lot of people don't realise just how versatile pastel is, and that if we put pastel onto a sheet of paper, I'll use some dark here deliberately here just to get us going, and this is a knot paper. I usually work on hot press for this sort of work because I don't want texture particularly, although I want a little bit in this. And we'll bring up a bit of the purple into that through here. So you could put the water on first and then the pastel, but I think it's better to lay the pastel first and then bring in the water. And we'll just see how now I can blend that with water. Just do all of that bit first. These darks and mid-tones. We could just work directly like that, but I want to make an underpainting of pastel first, and the pastel will in fact become fixed this way. It actually will be a fixed colour, and once this water has dried I'll be able to put succeeding colours over much more easily, which means that I can really play with these lights and darks. I'm putting the highlights over my darker areas later. So I can just paint in all these darks straight in, even take paint from one place, pigment from one place to another look, because in fact all this is a bit like watercolour. It is pigment bound with gum arabic, and once it dries it'll be turned back into being pastel again. Now that means that if we actually had lots of bits of pastel, old pastel or pastel dust, we could take those bits, grind them up together, add water to it, make another little sausage by rolling it, and we would have new pastels, our own mixture of greys. So we can blend that just like watercolour with pastel. This is the Unison soft pastels, and over that we can add, if we want more colour in while it's still wet. So I can take more of that colour and blend it into there while it's still wet, get this lovely effect of the metal of the carriage. And it will dry a fraction lighter anyway later, so that isn't a problem. And I don't mind if I go over things just slightly, because I know that I'm going to be able to come back and tidy those up with lighter pastel later. Right down to here. I can work into that with the darker pastel again. You can see how lovely it is with a wet brush, nice and loose, just painting in these darks at first. Quite the opposite to the watercolour where we paint the lights first and work up to the darks. Here I'm painting in my darks and then I'm going to add the lights over the top as I go on. Come down a bit. Let's look at how we can blend this out here. I'm going to put on the purple first, all the way down to his shoe, and add some of that dark into it. I can blend it down through here. Come back with my brush, a little bit of water, just blend that all in, right round. Dark in between there, so I'll take the paint that's on my brush, pastel, wet pastel on my brush, and just go in between there. See how wonderfully versatile this technique can be. You even do dry brush work, just like watercolour if I wanted to, but that's not going to be my way of working today. I've got other things to do, other things in mind. Now, almost immediately over that, if I want to, I can work some more light again. A bit of pastel just coming over there. Just blend that in with my finger, because I can blend as well in just the same way as with pastel, remember. Don't just have to keep using water. And then there's that shoe down here that I want to be in purple, where the doorway is just showing up to his boot with a gap under here. There's a little bit coming around his boot here, down. Very effective way to work, look. Blending it out carefully as I would with ordinary pastel. Little line there. Right back to there. And a tad lighter, I'll take some very light blue, light grey. Just come into there a little bit more heavily. A bit more blue just at the edge of his shoe. You can see how we can start to make things work. Golden yellow ochre, bring it right down there, through here. Don't worry about any mess of colour because it's going to come back. You can put it back with some lighter pastel afterwards just to tidy it up. What I'm doing at the moment is getting the base colours in. I want to cover this white paper, base colours in to be able to work my pastel over the top, over a fixed surface. Lovely way to work. You'll have seen me use it recently in a demonstration for Skegness Art Society, where I did a yacht scene, exactly the same way. And we can pick up the paint elsewhere. I'll put a little bit of this dark colour back here under the front, a bit lighter here still, so I can bring some lighter pastel over the top while it's still damp at the moment. Doesn't matter whether it's better if it's drier, what we're doing, but we'll get the idea of this. Lightens up. I'm going to take some of that purple just along this edge. With a lighter colour, there's a very light grey reflecting on the top again here. Come back in with the brush again, tighten things up, not too much water, just enough to sharpen the edge. Right, you can see how very quickly we can build up with water and pastel. Now I'll just continue the rest in the same way. I don't need to discuss the colours with you much now. Let's just blend that together with my finger and just let that light show through here. It's virtually fixed. It's quite hard to move it there now because it is actually quite fixed. I want to start working into the engineer, the face of the engineer. It's quite difficult. It's not going to be that easy, but let's work up. Again, we'll use our brush and water to get the base colours in first. So I want to start off with the same sort of colour I used on the chair down there, and just work that throughout his face, not in his beard yet, just to get the flesh tones. So again, my small brush, we'll just paint that in so we've got a surface that's fixed and covered all the way down across this. It's slightly transparent because I'm painting it fairly thinly with the water at the minute. Across around here into his ear. I'm lifting the paint off here to paint around the ear. I want to use that grey I was using earlier to give the base coat to the hair and the beard. It'll go on a slightly darker colour at first, and then we'll lighten it up afterwards. So if I can't get my detail very easily with these huge pastels, I can do so by using a brush. And this has given me a fixed pastel base coat. Again here we'll just blend it down and through into his beard and put some darker colour in a minute. On the hat you can put a blue on there, again all the way around just at first. A bit like using watercolour pencil in a way, except that it's not so transparent, and it gives me a much better coat to put more pastel over afterwards. Some water again, I'll blend that right up and through, down to his hat. I'll add more colour on afterwards. Now, so often I've said this to you, when you've got a colour on your brush, if it's somewhere else, use it to a little bit lighter up there, just under his hat here, just a bit more of that light colour through there to give the shadow of his face. I've got this blue on my brush, I want to bring it in under his ears here, and take some of it away from there, just use it for the shadow under his neck. I'll make a bit darker in a minute. I'll take some of the actual black from somewhere else and put it in here. And that's also going to allow me to play with the eye as well and get his features a little bit. So when I've got that on my brush, I can delicately bring it down, and we can work more easily than with a great chunky pastel. You see it's almost there now. I'm going to take some dark from somewhere else and just come back, just darken it a bit more. I can always lift a bit of dark off the pastel itself, so I could take my brush down to my black pastel and I could dip my brush onto the pastel and take a little bit of dark and put it in here also in the same way. The same way as I can do his smile. Put a little bit of warmth there, just a touch of warmth coming in there, so I'll just use a tad of pastel just to link in. I want to be a bit darker there as well, so I'll take some dark from somewhere else and come back and just touch that into that colour. Just link that round, soften it in, and we want some slightly lighter pink in a moment. A bit more highlight around his face. Beard wants to be a bit lighter. There we go. A little bit of light blue just on the furriness of the beard there. Nose on the edge here. So you see how detailed we can be with it. It's quite fun, isn't it? You can see that we can use a brush over and over again if we wanted. Now back to himself. Sorry, back to the hat. I want a little bit more. Now that's dried out a bit, I can afford to come over slightly with a different blue. Just give it a bit more colour, look. And there we go, you start to see how it can work. Now on the outside here, it's quite light, so I'm going to make a mixture. I'm going to start off with my very light blue here, and go over it afterwards as broken colour with a cream, with a pink even, to get this vibrance going in the background. Around here. And actually that blue is going to be coming in, so I could use it like a wash. I can bring it through here as well, because that light blue is going to be coming into the shirt as well. Grey coming in here as well, so I'm actually going to add it to the wet paper. And down through there, mix these colours together while the paper's wet. Take the smaller brush and we'll blend that down through. And we want a little bit of warmth coming into it, so I'm going to bring a little bit of pink into that there, down here, while it's still wet, so I can blend in the colours. Got the greys and these reflective colours coming from the firebox. That gives us our mid-tones before we start putting anything lighter in. Necktie coming down here, which we need to get in. Again, I'm just going to fix it by brushing it down. And I need to add some deeper purple and reds into that in a moment. So what I'm going to do is come down and actually paint, get this bit in here. Come back with my big brush. Paint that in all the way down. Now I can take some of that colour and start to work with it into and around the shirt. And again, I'm just showing you this versatility of the way this stuff can work. Stronger blue, that's deeper blue. Really get these shadows going under the arm. We're in with the lighter colours there in a moment. Brushing these creases in. Get the feel of the form. I'm not doing this one at high speed yet, this film, because it's such a fast way of working. I can show you quite a lot before you get bored. I think just by doing this, can't I? Right, now I talked to you about scumbling here, didn't I? Let's go back to a very light yellow now. Makes it very light behind, and I can bring some of that reflection onto his clothing. To give him the effect of light of being against that. It's all one thing compared to another. Now with that pink, just gently blend it in. This is called feathering now. I'm just feathering it in. Just scumbling over the surface and feathering it in here. To give this feeling of the carriage in the background. And then that very deep blue has got a watch on, so we'll put a very deep blue band around there. Then want to pick up on his glove, which is quite dark. And I'm going to pick up on this dark colour with the brush again, because I want some finer work again. So a little bit of water on my brush, pick up on that dark colour, just come up here, feel my way around that glove. And then put the detail in with the brush again. Come back up here and just touch that bit of shadow in. And again, as I say, you can see how quickly we can work something. We can start to drag a bit of pattern onto the roof of the brush just a little bit. But all of this complicated stuff to do here in a moment. And in fact, I could have gone in there straight away with just one colour and drawn it all in later. But doing it this way, I know where it is. Now, a little bit warmer in there, so I'm going to add some pink into that mixture. So I'm pre-mixing my pigment, if you like, on the paper here. A bit more yellow in there as well, so I'm going to mix a bit more yellow into that too. You can already see the colour coming, but more vibrance that way. I'm going to blend it in and make it more vibrant afterwards. So let's blend these colours together, like that. Give myself that warm mid-grey, the inside of the cab. A bit darker there in a moment. The beauty of this is if we go wrong we can come back and change it later. So anything that isn't right I can add to, I can put pastel over afterwards. This is just to give me a base coat, get the effect of light if you like. Through here, and it's going to go darker. We'll put this purple into it here, it comes right down dark through there. I can use this while it's wet to give the textures if I want and get the feeling of marks on the surface of the cab. Again, it looks dark right now, but it's going to go lighter when it dries off. There are little holes in the cab I notice here around the edge, which we can put in with a pure touch of pastel. Let's go on this bit next. Do we see it anywhere else? Yes, there's a bit of it coming around here. So a nice rapid way to work. You try and imagine trying to cover this in pastel and blend it. You know, this is a much faster way. Now remember, I'm going to be able to put my highlights back in on top of this, so it's going to be quite effective. The greys over that. While it's still wet I can move it about. In fact, while it's still wet it's a lovely effect. I can actually use it almost like oil paint. I can use my finger to blend and to work it up. Try and get the shininess of the steel. Other grey going down there. Many of you won't have seen this technique. I mean, it's one that I've been developing for a long time. And, the same way as I developed acrylic inks and watercolour many years ago, and a lot of people are using it now. But before I started playing with it, you know, it was needs must, and you have to develop things to find ways to get the effects you want, as I'm doing here. I'm dragging that brush through with water now to get the effect of the metal there. It's got the feel of this rough cast steel and iron. So we're still blending, and I don't want too much texture on the face here, so I'm just going to blend that back a bit. Tidy up those details later, let's just keep on. Textured surfaces, but they're also polished smooth with the age of people rubbing against them. Now this coal here, I think we can get that again fairly easily by just painting it in. The same sort of colours as we've already got here, so we'll use that deep purple first, just so I know where things are. I'll paint this coal in separately to, even though it's going to be the same colours as the floor, I'm going to paint it in separately. And I want to work this coal up with my fingers a bit here. Again, it's something I'm just doing for my own pleasure. It's not necessarily to sell or to go anywhere in particular. It's just a picture that I took when I was on this wonderful little railway and rather liked, and thought one day I'll use that for something. I used the driver in fact inside one of the paintings already. So we can take one colour on the brush and always go back whenever we want. Now, I'm to work into this, as I was saying, so let's start getting the darker colours in there. Just a lump of coal coming up here, using my deep blue at first. Around there, we'll just put the darks in, just find the edges of these lumps of coal, the shadows in between them. Bit of coal dropping off my pastel there, I reckon. Once I've established those, I'm not doing them in detail, just getting a feeling of them. And we come in with something darker. It's going to dry back more yet, so it gives us the lumpiness of the coal. And reflecting over the coal surface, we've got the light colours, some light blue over there, so it's shining through here, affecting there as well. Now, back to the floor itself, and let's just continue putting these darks in. We're going to have to take some time with that in a moment, but let's just get this locked in. If I want a finer line, then I've got to use my brush. If I don't get the texturing, then I just get the sharper edge of the line. Going very strong walls yet, I'm just about to, but I don't want to do too many of these until the end actually, because it's hard to overdo them. We've got all of this detailed work to do here, but I want to block and blend in first. So I'm going to take my deep purple here again, go behind there, and let the colours blend. That edge as the fire comes through. I need to go a lot darker down there, so I'm going to use the two together, the purple and the black. Just go around that nut, paint that in a minute. And this is the problem now, is I've got so much detail I want to paint, and I don't want to lose all my drawing of it. I hope now you can see the advantages of working in this way though, using the water and the pastel. It's so fast you can block in areas. You can even use dry brush work like this across it, look. Just like you would with watercolour. Drag some of this dry brush work back again, so we can use watercolour technique with the pastel to put lighter colour into this later. I just need to get this effect of things softening in here into sort of steamy. Still mixing our colours, so we've got to blend up with these colours, try and get this feeling of what we're trying to do is give the illusion of all of this very complicated machinery without having to draw it all in absolute detail. You look for these colours. Somebody once said to me, how do you make silver, how do you make gold? Well, you simply use the colours that are reflecting on the surface of the object. Silvers are usually more greys and blues, and golds are usually more, literally, golds, yellows and ochres. That light blue in, and then we'll just come in with the cream on top. We'll work on the details a bit more later. At the moment we really still need to get the fire in down here. I'll have to start on that in a moment. But let's start on this now. I want to get in the lightest colours first, so I'm going to go in with my white here and just give a... I don't want to use the brush for this at all, because I want to just use light, pure colours. So I'm going to use a bit of white at first, so that the yellows and the creams go on really effectively. And then we'll go to our stronger yellows quite quickly. Really bright. The heat of the thing is what we're after. All the way down around there, right up into here. Just want to blend with my fingers, I want to smudge it all in. I don't want to deaden it with water this time. It's a mixture of cool and warm coming through here. Scumbling it over the surface now to try and add a little more coherence to the whole thing. We'll get these a few more warms reflecting in here and around the place. I think we've nearly finished this painting now. It's gone very quickly, as you can see, with this technique. I've just got a few details to put in here and there, I think. So it's these little details now to do. Art of pastel is not easy. The guy's wearing glasses, so I just want to get this effect of the lens here, just to make his face seem a bit softer as well, because if we put light against dark, rough against smooth, warm against cool, you're going to get these lovely effects. There's a little sparkle here and there. With a bit of white, because it's at the end that we put the very darkest bits in and the very lightest bits. A little scumbling of blue down here just to make the purple seem more purple. I just want to tidy around that foot a little bit as well. Should be coming down a little bit more just there, just a fraction. That's his boot, yeah. And back a bit down here maybe as well. More texture going on just on some of the spots here to bring it forward a bit to us. So we need the brush again. We'll use the brush dry this time, just to touch up the more silvery feel to the shine of the metallic feel. Bring that forward. And of course a mount will make a difference as well. So let's just try a mount on it and I'll show you what I mean. We want a fairly light coloured mount for this, because bring these colours out. See that the light against there makes a considerable difference, makes it more three-dimensional.